Hi everyone, Chad Burton, CEO of Curo Legal, here to talk about using technology in the virtual law practice world. This is the second video in the series of how to start a virtual law practice. Now, technology is a key component to this because let's remember the whole point of a virtual practice. It's about being mobile. It's about being away from the traditional brick and mortar setting to be able to operate using technology when and where it makes sense to better serve your clients. So if you don't have the right technology set up, then it makes it really hard. So technology is a tough one for a lot of lawyers to get their heads around, even newer lawyers, because you hear a lot about security and you hear a lot of fears. And some are legit because when you're choosing technology, you really have to think through what you're using to make sure that you are using technology that is going to keep your client information secure. But a lot of the fears that you hear about are really based on a lack of information. So this is part of this. This series is to help with that, but also look at the other resources that your bar has. There's a ton of information that they have online that you can review to look at security and use of technology in general in running a practice. So I want to jump in, though, to kind of talk about some of the ethics, because that's really important here. When you're thinking about starting a new model, like a virtual law firm model, you look at ethics in a little bit different way. You want to look at it for a lot of the practical ways of how you operate your business. And let's look at competency. Think about that. So let's back up to 2012, the ABA revised Model Rule 1.1, which is competency, and more specifically, they revised Comment 8 to include that lawyers have to understand the risks and benefits of technology when it comes to delivering client service, which is pretty fascinating. Just a short time ago, we are now saying that, hey, you have to think about understanding technology when it comes to being a competent lawyer. Competency, as a result, is expanded beyond just understanding the substantive area of the law, procedurals, and things like how to present well in court, and things that you think about in that traditional competency sense. Well, now understanding technology is part of that, which means that you understand the good and the bad of it, when you should use it and when you should not. Now, a lot of the technology that comes into play when we're talking about a virtual law firm model is centered around cloud-based technology or web-based technology. This is remains a hot topic, even though over time it has gotten a little bit easier for lawyers to get their heads around. But what we're talking about here is using a third party to store your client information online. Now, states, from an ethics standpoint, are taking a look at this, and everyone's given it a thumbs up, including Florida, to say you can operate and store your information on the cloud, but you have to do it in a smart manner. You have to think about the security, with the type of platforms you're using, where are they storing the information, the validity of the companies. Do you own the information? And there's on and on, where it really is a lot of logic, things that you've applied to other ways of storing information, whether it's giving really sensitive client files to a courier to take them across town before we use email to do the same thing. We've always done this analysis to make sure that you are giving your information to somebody that's going to handle it in a smart and secure fashion. So not all cloud-based solutions are created equal. So you really have to understand, fortunately, being a lawyer, you can read the terms of service and privacy policies to understand really what they do and how they store information and where it's stored. And are they going to give you notice if a government agency subpoenas records or is coming in with a search warrant? There's a lot to look at there. How do you choose the technology for a virtual firm? There is so much information out there. Once you go online, it can almost be daunting looking at the number of platforms that you can use and what are the best ones to really achieve your goals. Well, first of all, take a look at what the bar offers. The bar has a great list of member benefits where there are a ton of cloud-based solutions that could be used to help run your practice. But also remember what we've talked about before is this is about client service. So you really want to use technology that is going to fit your firm model. It's going to promote ease of use, mobility, and you've got the security front as well that we've already talked about. So looking at all those, how do you go about choosing them? Well, let's think about some core choices that you need to make when choosing technology for your firm, regardless of the type of platforms that you're using. You are going to be operating mobile in a virtual model, whether you are a solo or whether you have a team of lawyers or staff. You have to have a solution that everybody's going to be able to access information real time. This means you need a practice management platform. This is your time and billing, your calendar, your contacts, document storage, which we'll come back to in a second, reports, running data on money coming in and money going out. So that's a core part of your choosing. Something that is painful for everybody, but you still need to choose a good email platform. I know we all get way too much email, and the thought of not getting an email ever again sounds like a good idea, but you need something that is going to, a good cloud-based solution that will also integrate with your practice management platform, and I'll get into that here in a minute, but just want to mention a couple really good ones that are really, for small firms and large organizations, really. Google for Work, which is the business version of Gmail, which will have email, calendar, contacts, and all the other Google Suite kind of tools. You also have Office 365. I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm an Apple person and use Macs and iPads and everything, but Microsoft has become ridiculously good on cloud-based solutions and new apps. So Office 365 has come light years recently. So for those of you that like Outlook and like that more traditional feel, 365 is a great choice for a cloud-based email, calendar, contacts, and even a document management solution with OneDrive. So there's that part of it. Now, documents, I keep mentioning that there are these platforms that have document storage attached to them, whether it's a practice management solution or even an email solution like 365 and Google for Work. Depending upon your firm, depending upon whether you're starting from scratch, the kind of documentation that you're going to have, the amount of data, we know, especially if you're in business litigation and discovery, gigs and gigs of data are produced all the time. You might need a more comprehensive document management solution such as Box.com or NetDocuments. These are, again, cloud-based solutions, but they are more robust. These more sophisticated platforms do integrate with practice management platforms and email platforms. I want to give you a good example here. Even though there are a ton of choices out there, and you'll see this, as I mentioned on the member benefit page, let me give you an example of how these can all fit together nicely to set up a really cost-effective suite of services to run your firm. A platform I've used in my law firm for 5 or 6 years is called Clio. Clio is a cloud-based solution that has your time, your invoicing, tasks, calendar, contacts, reports, documents. That integrates, so Clio integrates with Google for Work and 365. And with both of those, what it does is it integrates calendar and contacts. So you can enter a contact or a calendar entry in Clio or Google or 365, and it syncs to the others and goes back and forth. And it ties it to your client matters, which is really powerful, meaning that you can manage your client work out of Clio, and then it's pushing out the information to your devices. Whether you're a Droid user, an iPhone user, or whatever, it's very easy to get that information into the calendars that exist there and your contacts there. So when you use Siri to say, call client X, it knows that because it's pushed the information out of Clio and onto your phone. Pretty powerful stuff. The same is true when you look at document management solutions such as Box or Dropbox or Google Drive or OneDrive. I just named a lot of them, but those are pretty common and pretty popular tools. Those all integrate with Clio. So if you are in Clio in the Smith matter, you can see in the Documents tab, you can see what's stored on these other platforms, so it integrates nicely. In fact, Clio has an integration with Office 365 that you can edit Word documents while you're in Clio if you have that integration set up. That's a lot of words and a lot of talk about integration, but the takeaway is this. you want platforms that work together and that provide you with very comprehensive solutions so that you have kind of this all-in-one suite of technology to operate your firm. Meaning that if you enter information into Clio or Google or 365, the rest of your team can see it immediately, regardless of where they are. Again, I want to direct you back to the BAR's member benefit page. They have a great amount of resources of cloud-based solutions that are perfect to help run a virtual law practice. Remember, key to running a successful virtual practice is having the right technological infrastructure, and spending the time and getting that right resources in place will be very important for purposes of moving forward with a new practice.